of Louisville and Pennsylvania president. We lost a great man and a beloved Rotarian this week. Charlie Kastner passed away Tuesday evening. His daughter Louisa posted that he boarded a train for his whistle stop at the Heavenly Stations. He said he had a nasty fall last Thursday. Grace, gratitude, and his usual mischievousness. He charmed the hospital staff until it was time to board the train. Charlie joined our club 42 years ago. He was a Paul Harris Fellow and the recipient of the 2008-2009 Lifetime Achievement Award. He was 97 years old. Visitation will be Saturday, February 7th, this Saturday at St. Luke's Chapel at the Episcopal Church Home on Westport Road from 1 to 4 p.m. And a celebration of life will be held later in the spring at Second Presbyterian Church. So please join me in a moment of silence in his memory. Providing our invitation today is Dr. Susan Zepeda, Rotary Fund Board Director, co-chair of the District Rotary Fellowships Committee, 2001-2 Lifetime Service Award recipient. Major Donor.
Thank you. I'm a very short person. Let us pause and reflect. Today our thoughts turn to community and the strength to be found in partnerships. We call to mind Muhammad Ali's famous advice that service you do for others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. It also calls to mind this year's Rotary International motto, United for Good, and our commitment as Rotarians to service above self. In these troubled times, we look around and ask, what can I do? What can I do to make Louisville, to make our Commonwealth, to make our country a safer, more welcoming, and more compassionate place to be? As Rotarians, we're guided by the four-way test that we'll repeat together soon, and it's a good test for all of us. Still, as we wrestle with our consciences and the choices we make in life, I'm not just reminded of the four-way test and the call to service above self, but also to my father's favorite Bible passage, Micah 6, verse 8. What does the Lord require of you but to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God? And this in turn reminds me of my favorite invocation from the late Most Reverend Thomas Clavel, Archbishop Emeritus of Panama, who's called the Vicar for Hispanics in the Diocese of Orange, California. His prayer asks simply for food for those who are hungry and a hunger for justice in those who have food. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Susan. Now to lead us in our Rotary four-way test, Aaron Chapman.
Here, so you can hear me. Start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our four-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Aaron. Barrington, you have a guest with you today. Please come to the mic. My left. My right. Tell us the guest's name and the role. Guest, please stand when you're introduced.
All right, President Kim, guests, and fellow Rotarians, I have a guest with me today. Please stand.
Technologies here in Louisville, and he was president of MyTech Steel. He's currently founder and CEO of Paragon Corporation and 400 or 500 companies. He's a longtime friend of mine. I introduce him all the time as my younger brother, Stuart. Next president will be Walt Cano. Walt Cano, thank you, here you go.
Hello, President Ken. My guest is a family friend of mine. She's just moving here to Louisville from Columbus, Ohio, where she was a teacher in inner city schools. She doesn't want to do that anymore. So please come by and visit with her when you finish up here today and meet this nice young woman. Thank you. Good help, her name's Catherine Booker.
Good morning, Rotarians. I'm Melissa Cobb with Samarama Downtown, and I've got the great privilege of introducing an entire table today. So my first guest today is Mr. Eric Gunderson, CEO of High-Tech Digital and one of Louisville's largest marketing firms. Thank you for joining us. Our next guest is James Mindak. Has he arrived?
Not
No?
yet.
Okay, well, it's his loss. We have Beth Denham, Senior Vice President of Development for Close Air Kids. Thank you for the work that you do. Her lovely daughter, Audrey Denham, who is a Development Coordinator for the American Heart Association. This runs in the blood, doesn't it, ladies? And also, Josh Tucker, Vice President of Sales with Alliance Insurance Services. Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome to August. We do have one who's Rotary table in the back after the meeting. If you'd like to go learn more about us. And we also have a special guest who will hear from shortly, Dorsey Ridley, who's the district governor. Dorsey, stand up and take him out. Next week's full of opportunities for engagement and fellowship with the club. Rotary Happy Hour, always fun. It'll be Tuesday, 4:30 to 6 at the Mashup Food Hall in New Loop. Mackenzie Whitemill, if you plan to attend. Our Rotary Enrichment Fair Service Project is Wednesday at the Kentucky Humane Society on D.D. Drive. Stop by any time between 10 and 1. Lunch from Salsa Rigas will be served beginning at 11:30. You can make enrichment treats and toys, help with packing adoption folders and prepping syringes for the vet team, learn about the new animal and community campus. Our Recenter Ministries meal service scheduled for January was moved to next Wednesday, February 11th, at Larry Sloan. If you'd like to join in serving food and having fellowship with these men in recovery. And then, of course, our annual State of the City event will be Thursday downtown, and more about that at the end of the meeting. Our next Rotary Honors Scholars Mentoring session will be at Rotary High School. That's February 18th at 8:50. See Craig Mooney, who's up here, if you'd like to join us. And then Rotary Day in the Downs is Wednesday, April 29th. Scan the QR code, purchase tickets, or look for the link on our website homepage. And registration is now open for the Rotary All-Stars Conference to be held at the Ball House here in Louisville, May 8th to 9th. You'll get to see District Governor Dorsey at that as well. Our district is teaming up with Indiana and Tennessee for a tri-district conference you won't want to miss. You can purchase tickets for the luncheon and or the dinner on Saturday and the pre-conference activities on Friday. And Elaine says they're going to be really cool, those pre-conference activities. Or you can attend our district speech contest and conference breakout sessions free. Check LouisvilleRotary.org for details and links for other events and opportunities. And as always, if you haven't already, follow us online on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, we can't have a meeting without having Amy Latrell come up. She's the President and CEO of Goodwill Industries in Kentucky, Chair of the Rotary Foundation Committee, Major Donor Level 2, and she has some Paul Harris Fellow recognition.
All right, thank you, President Ken. I'll move it back down to where Susan had it. So today we get the privilege of recognizing 2 more of our fellow Rotarians for their generosity. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask Craig Mooney and Robert Chatham to join me. Is Robert here?
Yep,
Right there. Right across the table from me at the podium. Yeah, if you guys could just be ready in just a minute. So for anybody that doesn't know, for some of our newer Rotarians, the Paul Harris Fellowship is the recognition that Rotary gives to somebody who's given $1,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. And you don't have to do the whole 1,000 at once. You can do it in increments and it all adds up. So don't let that number intimidate you. So last week I told you some things about our club's goals and how we're doing. So I'm not going to go through all of that again today. But I did want to give you one thing to think about. So most years, our district will have what they call a matching points campaign. So that's coming up. In fact, it starts next Monday. So I just want you to be thinking about this. So the matching points campaign, and let me tell you a little secret here. Nobody understands points except for Mike Cool. Is Mike Cool here? He's the only one. I don't see Mike. Okay, well, you're gonna get his phone number. But the important thing for you to know is it's a great way to help you get closer to your Paul Harris Fellowship or a multiple Paul Harris. And that's why they do it, is to encourage more people to give to the foundation. So there's really only 3 things you need to know. And the first thing is the dates, because this is a time-limited opportunity. Like I said, it starts on Monday, February 9th, and it goes through March 22nd. But there's a limited amount, there's like $60,000 that are available for this match. So be thinking about that. You might want to make your decision sooner rather than later. The second thing you need to know is you can do a contribution for this one-to-one match. And I'm going to tell you how that works. Anywhere from $125 to $2,000, anywhere in that range, you can get this one-to-one match. So the way that works is that if you give, for instance, $200, then you're going to get 200 points, which kind of act like dollars, and in the records it will show that you're $400. You've got that to your credit, so you're much closer to getting a Paul Harris Fellowship. So that's how that works. And the third thing you need to know is there's the little extra that you have to do to make sure that you get the matching points. So Mike Cool is the key. He is the annual fund chair at the district level. And like I said, he knows everything. Now, either Mike or I can tell you where you are with your giving if you want to know that. And a lot of people don't know that and they don't want to go find it on the Rotary site. So either Mike or I can tell you. But Mike needs to know if you want to take advantage of these matching points so that he can make sure you get that credit. So I've got a few flyers here today, and Delene's got some, and we'll have those for you later as
They're
well.
on the tables.
Okay, great. With his number and his email, and he's always happy to help. So I just wanted you to know about that and start thinking about it. But now, we all want to join together and thank our fellow Rotarians for their generosity. So, I don't know, President Ken, you want to hand it to, yeah. So Craig Mooney is now a Paul Harris Fellow +1. Thank you, Craig. And then Robert Chatham is a Paul Harris Fellow +8. You too can do this. It just takes a little time. You just have to keep at it, and you can be like Robert and Craig. So thank you all both so much for your generosity. We really appreciate it and all the good that it does.
Thank you, Amy and Ken.
Are we taking pictures?
I'm good.
Okay, great. In fact, you President Ken.
Appreciate Amy, and thank you to everyone that is a Paul Harris Fellow and whatever. And now, District 6710 Governor Dorsey Ridley, the Regional Business Development Director for Independence Bank, and a Paul Harris Fellow himself, +4.
Thank you.
Special recognition.
Thank you. Stay right here, President. President Ken, fellow Rotarians, it's an honor and a privilege to be here today to present to the Rotary Club of Louisville the certificate, because you all financially backed our In Polio Now campaign in the 24-25 season timeline. That was the last year, but you know, it takes a while to calculate all these things and get the certificates printed and out. But I wanted to come and thank you. Just like I appreciate Amy, and I appreciate you recognizing these two Rotarians for their Paul Harris Fellow commitment, and that's so important. We really appreciate it. But with the Polio Plus, this is a big item, and we just appreciate you all doing it. And thank you. And I'm going to present this certificate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dorsey. Glad you can be with us. Okay, in the past year, we've had nearly 50 new members. If you're one of them, or rejoined member, please stand so we can give you a big round of applause. We also like to spotlight somebody who's been a Rotarian for a few years, and we talked about her a lot lately, Mackenzie White. Why don't you come on up and tell us more about yourself?
All right, well, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I appreciate the opportunity to be featured. You can take it off. I appreciate the time to be featured today. President Kent, thanks for inviting me. I'll have to admit, when you told me I had 2 to 3 minutes to talk about myself, I thought, all right, well, that's about the same time I get with my kids. So, you know, I know how to narrow this down really quick and get all the points in on time. So, I joined Rotary almost 3 years ago, just looking for a way to build fellowship with leaders who care about serving our community. And since then, I've had the chance to serve on the Lifeline Committee, the Social Activities Committee, and now incoming club director. So it's really been a rewarding way to meet people who genuinely care about making Louisville better, and also don't mind a good lunch on a Thursday. Professionally, I'm vice president at PNC Bank, and I've been in banking and finance for about 25 years, so enough time to see the market cycle at least twice. So I've worked with commercial clients from everything from credit to treasury management, everything in between, but really at the heart of it, my job is about helping people. I really love finding solutions for my clients, but I'm also passionate about developing the people around me into stronger leaders and mentoring some of the up-and-coming professionals within our organization. Personally, I'm a transplant from Nashville, Tennessee. I moved here about 15 years ago, and since then, Louisville has truly become home. I'm married to my husband, Alex. We have 2 kids in 6th and 8th grade at St. Margaret Mary, soon to be St. Act, so hopefully that boosts my out-of-town credibility with maybe half of y'all in the room. Y'all know that. As a family, we love to travel. You know, I'm always one of the ones that has my next trip planned, and counting down to vacation is kind of how I survive day-to-day life. We're also a big sports household. We love watching football, going either on TV or attending them in person. Our house is split with 4 alliances: Tennessee, Kentucky, U of L, and Marshall. So any given Saturday, there's a lot of emotion. Somebody's thrilled, somebody's disappointed, but I think we're all yelling at the TV at some point. Community involvement is also really important to me. I serve on the Finance Committee for St. Joe's Children's Home. I'm involved with Greater Louisville Alumni Analytic Association, Family Scholar House, and then stay involved with school activities as much as I can. But to wrap up, why I joined Rotary, it's exactly what I value: service, fellowship, leadership, and then surrounding myself with people like yourself who are truly committed to making our communities better. So thank you. I'm excited to continue to serve alongside of y'all.
All right, as we celebrate America 250, Muhammad Ali stands out as one of the best America has had. And John Ramsey, a close, longtime friend and confidant of Ali, spoke with his heart, and he really moved us incredibly during his eulogy of Muhammad at his memorial. today, his presentation will do the same. John was a pallbearer for Ali, emceed the ceremony at the University of Louisville L&N Stadium a few weeks ago at the unveiling of the Muhammad Ali stand. And he co-hosted the award-winning Ali and Me podcast with Lonnie Ali. His talents as an MC come from his qualities as a person. He cares deeply about people, businesses, and organizations he works with. I saw that firsthand working with him at Wave TV for many years when he co-hosted a program that celebrated local businesses, and he formed close relationships with those business owners. We all appreciated his skill and expert delivery. It's truly amazing, and we mostly just appreciated him as a person. Mayor Greenberg certainly does as well, as he hired John to be the Director of City Partnerships for Metro Government. John always stands out, being alongside fellow eulogists President Clinton, Ryan Gumbel, and Billy Crystal at Ali's memorial, and Bob Costas, James Taylor, and Jim Carrey at the opening of the Muhammad Ali Center in 2005. It doesn't matter who he's with, he stands out. John's impressive career as a morning and afternoon radio personality and a television host spans more than 30 years. He and his amazing wife, Jill, have 2 sons, and soon will have 2 daughters. Please welcome a good man, John Ramsey.
That was overly nice. Thank you so much. There are so many people in this room that I admire. Stuart, of course, Kevin, where are you? Barbara Sexton Smith, who when I first came aboard the mayor's office, she really helped my transition, and I appreciate it. We've had many heart-to-heart talks, and you're gone. This, to me, is the perfect place to talk about Muhammad and his legacy, because as I hear, I'm Dr. Cepeda, you mentioned Muhammad in prayer. I know that everyone who comes up here talks about community, compassion, and being philanthropic, and charitable, and giving. And Muhammad would have loved that, because quite simply, he was the best example of the human spirit I've ever known. And that's fame aside, regardless of famous or not. Real quickly, just to set this up, okay, so what do we know about Muhammad? What do we know? Okay, we know he was a 2-time Kentucky State Golden Gloves champion. He also won the Louisville Golden Gloves as well 3 times. He was a gold medal winner, Rome Olympics, 1960. 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. Associated Press, they decided that he was the athlete of the century. Sports Illustrated also voted him athlete of the century. The BBC, athlete of the century, and he was a United Nations messenger of peace. Now, when we met, there we go, there's Muhammad there. We met in 1980. Boy, look at that. Floyd Patterson. Woo! That was a different animal there. But anyway, we met in 1980, and we traveled. I went to Australia, England and Ireland twice, Canada, multiple cities in the United States, 3 Kentucky Derbies, 3 heavyweight championship fights. And as I traveled more and more with Muhammad, it became less about the athlete and more about the content of his heart. I met him in 1980, and as some of you may remember, that was about the time John Watt Brown was running for governor. So I was at a Derby party, and Muhammad was helping John Watt lobby for governor. And we had met, and I was a kid. I was literally 20 years old. So Muhammad was still fighting, into his career, but he was still fighting. And for whatever reason, I remember I met him, and I was scared to death. There was only like 50 people at this party, and Muhammad was standing in the corner. And whenever I'm scared, I try to be funny, so I lean over to Muhammad and I go, "Well, Muhammad, you could be the greatest heavyweight of all time." Muhammad goes, "How would Sil is paid for that? What's your excuse?" And then he was so nice. Unbelievably nice. It was like a dream come true. And when we walked outside, he said, "You want to walk me out?" So I walked him outside. And I always tell people, if you want to meet Muhammad, throw a jab. He loves the motion of a punch. He started jabbing at me. Of course, I'm just scared to death. I'm just ducking, I'm so intimidated. But he's told me to write down my address and come see me. And he said, at that time his mom was still alive, and he spent a lot of time with her, and he did. Showed up in that Rolls Royce that now sits at the Ali Center, to my house. And then he would come over and call me whenever he was in town. One of the things he loved to do, what, that's going back there. That's an Elvis there. That's a Derby, Kentucky Derby. One of the things Muhammad loved to do was, these are just a little self-serving, I apologize. But I love this one. This is one of my favorites. This is my son who's now 35 years old. That's Austin. There's my son Jackson that Ken mentioned. My wife Jill. You'll get a kick out of this. Muhammad, I said, Muhammad, I don't know if I like it with the mustache. Muhammad said, they call me Dark Gable. So, but whenever he would come in town, he always wanted to go to Coast Hill Children's Hospital. True, I think it's a Norton Children's Hospital now, made the transition. He always wanted to go there, but he had a rule. He said, John, the rule is this. He said, you can't tell anyone, because if you tell someone, the press may get a hold of it. If the press gets a hold of it, they'll come, and suddenly it's about me. And he said, I want it to be about the kids. And he genuinely loved children. If you ever wanted to make Muhammad happy, children and good-looking women, Barbara, he loved you. There's a story that I did not tell at the eulogy, because obviously Mike was there, so I didn't want to do that. But Mike Tyson's story, you'll get a kick out of this one. So it was the last Leonard Duran fight. For those who know boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, they were kind of the Ali Frazier of the middleweight division. And Muhammad invited me to go to the fight. At the time, Mandalay Bay was a new hotel. Mike Tyson was heavyweight champion of the world. This picture was later on, but Mike was heavyweight champion of the world. I never met him, hadn't been in any trouble yet or anything. And I'm an Ali guy, of course, but still, Mike Tyson comes up to our room. And Muhammad likes it when I do the impression. So Muhammad was going off to the little kitchenette they had there, and he was getting us some Cokes and water. And Muhammad said, he said, John, show him what you do that so. I don't want Joe Frazier. I want him on. Son and listen. I said, Mike Tyson, you even dream of whooping me, but wake up and apologize. Tussle with an alligator, wrestle with a whale, handcuffed like a new thumb in jail. I injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick. So Muhammad goes off in the kitchenette. Mike goes, yeah, that's pretty good. He goes, do an impression of me. He goes, come on, big man, do a little impression of me. Let me hear you do an impression of me. I go, no. No, come on. So, this is all ludicrous. I just want to get me to feel my title. He goes, that don't sound like me. Mike puffs up on me. He goes, do it again. I'm going, no. Really bad impression, Mike. I am so sorry. He goes, no, come on. He goes, I want to hear it again. He's coming towards me. And I'm like, I think I'm going to be sucking through a straw the rest of my life. So he's coming towards me. And I remember Muhammad, excuse me, English here, comes out of the kitchen. Muhammad goes, I'll leave you for 5 minutes, you almost get your ass kicked. And then Mike started laughing and kind of calmed everything down. Thank you very much. The story I told at the eulogy, and the only reason I repeat this one for those who've heard it, is because I do think it kind of summarizes what Muhammad was all about. He always had an eye for the underdog. Everywhere we went, he was always looking for the person in the room he needed him most. True. And I've seen it so many times. So we go to the Sydney Olympics in 2000, and I remember a lot of these corporate events, because Muhammad wasn't on that side of the world very often, and he was making $200,000 a pop just to show up and meet with executives. But he was giving it all to charity. I mean, he didn't even have them make it out to the charity. And I remember I said to Muhammad, I'd like to have the Olympic experience. Can we go to an event? Can we do something? So we go to this boxing event. And it was kind of like the old Freedom Hall. There was like 4 rings set up. And because it's not a professional event, there's no announcer going, ladies and gentlemen, Muhammad Ali. There's just 4 rings, kids are fighting. We walk in, and it's going to a boxing match with Muhammad's like going to church with a pole. I mean, everybody is looking at him. And Muhammad very nice. And anyway, the American fighter wins. And I remember, they literally had us from me to Ken to the ring. And they were almost like lawn chairs. They set us right by the ring. And I remember I told Muhammad, I said, if there's ever a time to throw a low blow, now would be the time. Because the referee was so enamored in watching Muhammad, no one would have ever saw somebody give a blow. Anyway, we get finished. The American fighter wins. And I remember the crowd starts cheering, USA, USA. And I thought, wow, this is my Olympic moment. This is what I wanted. Felt very patriotic. And the kid comes down out of the ring, and he and Muhammad take that obligatory fist to chin, picture and all that. And there's all these cameramen, John Saraceno from USA Today. Everybody's writing down, all these photographers. And I thought, this is cool. Muhammad leans over to me and said, I want to see the loser. I said, what? He goes, I want to see the loser. Find out where the loser is. Oh, okay. So I called over an Olympic official and I said, can you direct us, where do we find the losing fighter? And he leads us into a locker room that was, literally, maybe 30 by 30 feet. Kid is by himself. He's in the corner. He's got ice on his eyes, got a mouse under his eye, got a towel around his neck. And you could feel the depression when we walked in. It's like, think about it. The guy probably won't fight again. Feels like he let down his country. You could feel it was just depressing walking in. And Muhammad comes in, and he does that, no, not really that. The kid turns around, couldn't even speak English. He was Italian fighter. He goes, Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad grabs him, and he told me, he said, get up. I saw what you did in there. He goes, you can be great. He said, don't give up. He said, don't give up, man. He goes, you did it. He goes, you did good. And all of a sudden I saw that kid, and you could feel it go from here to, up here. And I remember it really touched me because I get in the car with Muhammad, and we were leaving. And I said, Champ, I got to tell you something. I said, I was so caught up in the moment. I said, I didn't get that loose for a second thought. I said, man, you're the greatest. And Mom said, tell me something I don't already know. But it shows you he always looked for the underdog, and I've seen it so many times. I'll tell you a funny story locally. So, remember when Kentucky won the national championship in 1996? And I'm a Louisville fan, but with that being said, I of course want to watch the championship game. So Muhammad was in town, and he was going to Lonnie's mother's house, his mother-in-law, to watch the game. And I remember I got there a little bit late, and everybody's already seated. And Muhammad's brother-in-law, Lonnie's brother, rest in peace, Al was sitting, and Al was a big guy. He's 300 in a biscuit. And he is sitting right next to Muhammad. And Muhammad knows how much I love sitting next to him and talking to him. So Muhammad said, Al goes, Al, get up, let John sit down. And Al goes, what? He goes, I'm watching the game. Al's a friend of mine. I go, it's okay. I'm over here, it's okay. And Muhammad, but you don't tell Muhammad that. He goes, no, Al said, get up and let John sit down. And I goes, Muhammad, I'm watching the game. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Muhammad goes, he goes, Al, he goes, you big fat Rosa Parks. He goes, get up and let the white man sit down. And Al starts laughing and lets me up. I'm like, okay. But he always, as I mentioned, always had his eye on the underdog. When we went to Ireland one time, I remember Muhammad is part Irish. His grandfather married a free slave in Ireland. And believe it or not, racism was even worse in Ireland, in parts of Europe, than it was here. So he moved to America. But his grandfather was Irish. So we go to Ireland, and he's getting all these awards, and he's actually meeting relatives. They're, right in family trees, bloodline. It was really neat. They closed schools down. For 2 miles, it was 10 deep. People had decorated their homes for him. A little town called Ennis in Ireland. And I remember they were hoping that after we did this ceremony at the courthouse, that Muhammad might stop by. There was a place where they were going to build a statue. It's where his grandfather had a house. The house had been leveled, but they were going to build a statue of Muhammad that wasn't there yet. But they had it roped off. And all of these people were there, thousands, just in case he drove by. Well, Muhammad insists on stopping, and we stop. And first thing he does, gets out of the car, and there's a kid in a wheelchair right by that, where it was all taped off and roped off. And Muhammad takes out his watch and gives it to him. And that would happen. Things like that would happen all the time. And I remember all these Irish people, I'm thinking, what can I do? How can I help? So I just started grabbing, they all wanted pictures of Muhammad with their kids, babies. So I just started grabbing babies. Oh, God bless you, John. God bless you. I just hand them over. But when people ask me, they go, why do people love Muhammad so much? And I think it's because we all have in our DNA authenticity. If you're real. I've seen it from men of the cloth. I noticed with you, people can look you right now to know they're doing the right thing and feel comfortable totally with themselves. And that confidence. And Mama knew he was doing the right thing. And as he said, I don't have to pretend I'm nice, I am nice. Because as you know, a lot of athletes, famous people, they'll say, well, you know, I've got to sign an autograph, I've got to do this or that, because, you know, make my image and PR. We miss flights. I mean, I remember one time coming home from Atlanta, and we're just about to get on the plane. Here it comes. People lined up to get an autograph from Muhammad. And Muhammad says to me, he said, we're just about to get on the plane. He said, John, when's the next flight to go? Oh, man, look at that. Muhammad, it's 2.5 hours from now. Let's wait and make some people happy. Okay, Muhammad, we're going to wait. You're going to make them happy, and I'm going to watch you make them happy. It was hard at times when you were on Muhammad time. But with that being said, it taught me, I'm not famous, it taught me patience and kindness. And I've always tried to be nice. When you watch this guy work, it was unbelievable. When people say to me, they say, I met Muhammad, and a lot of times it wasn't in an airport because he traveled a lot. And they said it was one of the best days of my life. And you know, I always tell them, I said, I bet it was pretty good for him too. Because he loved people. He didn't want to just sign over. People know, is that your daughter? What does she do? What do you do for a living? Very inquisitive, and he wanted to connect. Can you imagine how popular he'd be with social media? You know, I mean, all those people who came in town, the millions, and my eulogy, and it's not because of me, of course, but that service was watched by 1.4 billion people streaming. They said it was second only to Princess Diana's funeral. So that shows you how big he was around the world, and he did that one-on-one, one at a time. About 3 months before he passed, Lonnie called me. She was in Arizona at the time. Then he'd go back and forth from Arizona. I spent the majority of the time in Arizona because the weather was good for Muhammad. And she called me and she said, John, you might want to come out and see your friend. And I thought that was odd because usually 2 or 3 times a year I did go out there. But either I called her and I say, hey, I got a long weekend. Or if there was an event, she'd call me, you want to go do this with Muhammad or whatever. And a lot of times as he became ill with Parkinson's, I just go out and read to him. Or we watch Ali fights. I always tell people, I said, the only person who loved watching Ali fight more than me was Muhammad. He'd be watching and go, man, I was bad. I mean, you were bad. But anyway, she says, come on out. So I go out there, and if you've ever known a Parkinson's patient, they're really good in the morning. After a good night's sleep and before they take their meds. There's about a 3-hour window there. But as soon as they start shaking, they have to take their meds. And the meds, yes, they slow down the shaking, but they slow down up here as well. So I always enjoyed my mornings with him. And I noticed on this trip, that 3-hour window was now down to about half an hour. And he lost a lot of weight. And I felt like Lonnie wanted me to say goodbye. So I remember walking, I was getting ready to leave, and I always had a car out for me up front, had my bags by the door. And Lonnie said, why don't you go in there and talk to Muhammad? And I said, is he up? She goes, yeah, he's up. And I said, okay, so, and he was good. I caught that sweet spot. And I sat down and I go, Mom, I got to tell you something. And I go, thank you for showing me how to treat people. Thank you for showing me real compassion, patience, kindness. I said, I got to tell you, champ, I said, after getting to know you over the last 35 years, I could care less if you ever box around. I don't care. I saw this. And I thanked him. And I go, I'll see you, champ. And as I was leaving, I told you he does that. He can do that really loud. He does it, I turn around, and he goes. And that was it. That was it. And when Muhammad passed, Lonnie was nice enough to she gave me a lot of his clothes. And because, as people get older, and because of Parkinson's, he had lost enough weight that some of them actually fit. And when I do an Ali event, I always want to wear one of his shirts, and this is. But there is one thing about this shirt. Hold on. As a matter of fact, I haven't shown you how many of these slides. Let me get this. Man, he was, those are little. They quoted me at the funeral. That was my quote. It's time for a man of peace to rest in peace. USA Today quoted me, but I was very proud of that. But as you know, Muhammad was known for his jab. And there's one thing about these shirts that does not fit, and I can show you because today's an Ali event, so I wore one. But I'm like 34, 35 length. Most of men my size probably are. Muhammad, like a 38. So, but it reminds me, when I put these on, it reminds me, I go, you know what? I'll never be as charismatic, I'll never be as famous, I'll never be as handsome, I'll never be as physically gifted. But there's one thing that I can be, they tell me, and that's kind. So. I'm proud of myself because I didn't break down. I was close. But any questions? I mean, I know I may have taken over I know it was like 3 minutes. But if anybody has any questions, we talked about a lot of stuff, so if you have any questions about Muhammad boxing or things you like to do or whatever, lay it on me.
John, I'm gonna start it off first. Great pictures, since that was the most incredible when he lit the torch. And tomorrow we're gonna be doing the same when we start. One of the highlights, I think, with Wade, besides the Derby coverage, was the Ali funeral. It was amazing. And you were in the car with Will Smith in the memorial procession and played reporter and helped us talk with Will. And now later you've done a podcast, Ali, and meet with Will and others and Lonnie. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Will, first of all, when we first came out of the funeral home, it was just Will and I, we were like the third car in the procession. And Lennox Lewis was in the front seat, but he's swelling on the back, so we spent a lot of time together. And as soon as we got out, he puts down the window and starts waving and shaking hands. And I thought, you know, this is not a parade, this is a funeral procession. I was just, and I said something to Will, that was nice and respectful. I said, John, Muhammad would want us to celebrate. And I thought about it, he's right. So yes, we did a podcast called The Ali and Me. Lonnie and I co-hosted, it's on Audible. We interviewed Will Smith, Mike Tyson, Bob Costas, LeBron James, a bunch of stars, Billy Crystal, and others. And it was all about their experience with Muhammad and what he was like, etc. And some of it was boxing, but very little of it. But I want to tell you this, because I think it's important. Will said, I've done a lot of events. And after I spent all the time, he goes, I've never seen anything like Louisville. He goes, man, they love this man. He goes, what a beautiful send-off. And I'm so appreciative of that because I'm proud of Louisville. I always say Louisville's a great place to raise adults, and I believe that.
I'm Cliff Duncan. Going to break a rule. I don't have a question. By circumstance, 3 friends and I met Muhammad Ali in 1968 and got to spend 20 minutes with him. We left. He radiated power. We were this close. He just radiated power.
Yes. Yeah, no, a good comment. And you know what, even as Muhammad, when I first hung with him, he was 100% great. And as he became ill with Parkinson's and he started deteriorating, still, when he walked in a room, I mean, he could lift people up, just his presence, like, ooh, there's Ali. And I remember, I love the fact he had that gift of, even when he became ill, he could still do that, make people feel better about themselves. And you're right, radiate power and confidence. Like, I know exactly who I am. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good. Thanks, John. Walt Kuno. First one is, can you allay all doubt about what happened to the gold medal?
Okay, so when I first met Muhammad, we used to speak together. He'd actually take me on the road with him, and I'd open up, do 10 minutes, and then Muhammad would speak at events, a lot of paid corporate events. And that story came out during his first biography. It was Muhammad Ali. It was his first one. Richard Durham did it. It was mid-'70s. And the story came out that Muhammad came back from the Rome Olympics, always wore his gold medal. And the place, by the way, was the Penn Dennis Club. Goes up to Penn Dennis Club, and they won't serve him. They won't serve him because of his color, of course. And they said that Muhammad and his buddy had these little scooters. They went over the JFK Bridge, took off his medal, and thought, if I can't even get served in my hometown, what good is this? And threw it over the bridge. That's the story. Muhammad repeated that story, but Lonnie corrected, we got to keep this in that room because that legend is great. But Lonnie said, no, he gave it to a girlfriend and she lost it. So I I think he had to run with the story once it was out there. But, and he would never lie. I think he liked the story. So.
Did Muhammad ever have any regrets?
Ooh, the way he treated Joe Frazier. I think, you know, he said, you know, you thriller, chiller, and killer when I get the gorilla in Manila. And Joe took that very personal. Who wouldn't? And it bothered Muhammad. He apologized to Joe, and they finally did make amends. But he said that was a little cruel. He said, I was trying to build up the fight, and he said, I wanted to make sure that they got attention. But Joe took that very personal, you know. So I think that just off the top of my head, that would be a regret. Other than that, you know, Muhammad didn't have any vices. I mean, you'll laugh at this one. You know, he didn't drink, didn't smoke, never. He was always into his body and everything. So one time, my dad is a retired cop, and Muhammad, we had been to a fight. He had met my dad. Muhammad gets back in town like a lot of retired cops. My dad opened a bar. It was on Manslick and Palatka. It was called KC's, spelling cats with a K and cards, cats and cards. And it was the most redneck place you've ever seen. So, I mean, you know, it just was. And so Muhammad says to me, he gets down, he goes, let's go to your dad's bar. And I'm to be honest, I was a little ashamed. And I said, well, Muhammad, I said, no, that it's all the way out, Black and Manchester. I said, it's a pretty good drive, it's pretty far away. Muhammad said, I just got back from China, Dixie Highway ain't far. So we went out there, Muhammad signed autographs for 2 hours and put up with all these guys smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, and he put up with 2 hours, sat at that bar, and we get in the car and I go, Muhammad, I'm sorry, that place is a little redneck. I was a little. He would not let me live it down. Man, that place was red. I mean, he went on and on. I go, Muhammad, you're the one who wanted to go. Boy, that was redneck, John. He wouldn't let it go.
Thank you. Your stories have brightened my day. Appreciate it.
Thank you, though. The regrets, I want you on that one, though. I don't think he had many. He certainly treated people well.
John, I'm going to break a couple of rules. One is, it's a beautiful tribute to Charlie Kastner. And I have to say, one of the best meetings I ever attended was at the top of the golf house, and Charlie played the piano, and he's playing the Boogie Woogie Blues. Our speaker that day is Teddy Abrams. Jonathan Wolfe, Seinfeld fame, is in the crowd. The three of them together are playing and having a blast, and everybody in the place is going absolutely nuts. So this is a little bit of a commercial for Rotary. I have to say I've been in the club for 25 years. The people I've met and the experience that I had, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. So if you're a new member or you're a guest, I hope you'll join, be part of our group. And secondly, John, I know a guy who can help you with that shirt. You
know how long those arms were, you know. And by the way, Ken, you're one of the people I admire too.
I want to also tell you, one thing, Lonnie Ali spoke to another group that I'm involved in. She's amazing. You might talk about her a little bit. She's a Harvard MBA. I think she changed Ali's life in his later years, and she loved that man. And the other thing is the podcast is amazing. There's lots of life lessons. One of the lessons I got out of it, he said, find your purpose in life when you're young. It makes a difference. And all those guys that you mentioned that he interviews, like one after another, there's so many life lessons on there. And it's a phenomenal.
Yeah.
Ali and me, you can get them on.
Lonnie is amazing, and she would love to be here. She's in Dubai right now traveling, but she would love to be here. And she has Muhammad's heart. I admire her so much because, you know, there's a lot of times I'll go to her and she'll tell me exactly what Muhammad would do or say, and it gives me comfort. So she is an amazing person, yes. Any other questions at all? Anything? I mean, real quick, I know I've taken a lot of your time, but if anyone has a question, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Commemorate your great talk with us today. This is the Rotary 4-way test pin.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Your
that.
time here.
I want to be a member. How's that work?
I get to sponsor John. Okay, Cliff and I agree.
We especially like the pinch hitting for Chris Redmond on short notice.
Yeah.
Chris was called to Texas by his ownership, this week. He really regretted not being able to come. We had tentatively rescheduled for June 18th, which is 5 days after the championship game for the United Football League, which we expect the little Kings to be in. So, we've never had a great season. If you haven't seen the schedule, it's amazing. We have terrific games. The first game of the entire season is right here in Louisville. They're going to play Thursday night. They have 5 games on national TV on Fox. They have a game on ABC Network. So they're going to get a lot of. Chris thinks he's got a really good team, and he was such a great player. So we certainly wish him well as a coach. And how cool would it be if he comes 5 days after the championship? But Barbara's here to tell us about next week's speaker.
All right, and it's always a danger zone, President Ken, when the speaker does a phenomenal job. The questions are great, and there's actually an extra 2 or 3 minutes like we have right now. I know. Ken has asked me, fellow Rotarians and guests, please don't use up the extra 2 minutes at the end. Just tell them about next week and go on. But I got to tell you, you mentioned the Kings. You mentioned the Kings, and I couldn't give the entire resume of my dear friend, my younger brother, my guest, Stuart Ray. But fellow Rotarians and guests, I do want you to know, in the room with us, Stuart Ray is the U of L sanctioned and approved chair of the Louisville Kings Court Advisory Board, and he is leading that effort. So thanks to Stuart. And because of that, I became a season ticket holder to the Louisville Kings. So, all right, here we go. John, thank you so much. People ask all the time. I'm a former board member, 6 years of the Ali Center, and served right along with Lonnie during that time of Ali's passing and transition, should I say. And I got asked all the time by people, how in the heck is it that one guy can live 74 years and live by 6 core principles, and then when he transitions, 265 media passes, 235 countries, and I'm going, how do y'all know all this stuff? And then people would say to me, what about those couple 100,000 people that lined the streets of Louisville? The over 1 billion people that watched it? The 84,000 rose petals that the teacher got permission from Lonnie to lay on the ground leading into the Caveville Cemetery. How does that happen? And then they say this, Kim Moore, wherever you're seated, but there was not one homicide in that week's period in Louisville, Kentucky. What is the magic of Rotary? What is the magic of Mohammed? I say to you, I posit this, it really is service above self. I had to do it, President King. So we go from one king to another king to the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I didn't know what that meant. So his core principles, if y'all wanted to know, is confidence, conviction, dedication, and giving, respect and spirituality. That's the life Ali was living. Float like a butterfly, sting like the bee. He's the greatest of all time. He's Muhammad Ali. Next week, we're going to get the greatest current mayor. I love to say that. The greatest current mayor of Louisville, Kentucky. You all please join us next week. We have a few seats left. You can scan the QR code or let Delene know and meet us at the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts next Thursday. Doors open at noon. Now, we're not going to have a sit-down meal and a buffet. It's going to be better and more fabulous. We're going to have comestibles and libations. Yes, to have your attention. That means things you eat with your hands. There are going to be little cookies and little charcuterie cups and fun things, and you're going to love it. It's going to be great, Craig. It's going to be the best. Yeah, all week. The libations are going to be coffee, decaf and caffeinated, and pure tap Louisville water. Yes, everybody go ooh-ah. See, I told you they would like this plan. All right, so the doors open at noon, and all serious. Make your way into the Kentucky Center. Be in the open area. The mayor's inviting a few hundred of his closest friends. We'll have us. We may have as many as anywhere from 400 or 500, maybe 600 folks will be there next week. But it starts at 12:30, and we have to be in our seats, okay? Because it's going to be exciting. President Ken's going to ring that bell. We're going to have a few Rotary pieces of business, and then something very spectacular is going to happen. I am not going to tell y'all what it is, but I know. And then the mayor's going to take the stage. All right, that's next week. Now the following week, on the 19th,
We are gonna come back to the club, right? Okay, we're gonna come back over, we'll be here at the club. So what that means, if you wanna come to the February 19th meeting, you've got to go and make your reservation before February 16th. All right, make that reservation, and guess who's gonna be here, Robert? Well, we know President Ken's gonna be here. Oh, Brian Yearwood, thank you. I told Jolene, when my year comes for president, don't expect me to look at that screen because I can't follow PowerPoint. Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Brian Yearwood, our superintendent, JCPS, is going to be here, and he's going to deliver a great presentation. And we're also going to get an update, I believe, from Craig Mooney and Walt Kuno on our Rotary Honors Scholars Program, right? How'd I do? I didn't even look at those notes, Your Honor. Yes, Cleve?
Dr. Newberry and Walt Kuno are going to do the update on the Louisville Rotary.
Dr. Newberry, you're here. Where's Tony Newberry?
I don't
Tony?
think he's here.
Did he get here?
Yep.
Oh.
He'll be here then.
Tony was pulling in the parking lot when Stuart and I were walking in. He's the guy that couldn't find the parking. Remember Stuart? We said hello to Tony. I'll call Tony and tell him he's on in 2 weeks. Okay, hello, parents. I love y'all. Thank you so much. President Ken, it's all yours.
There was an interesting article in Rotary magazine this month that just came, so if you haven't seen it, but the anniversary of Abraham Lincoln is February 12th, next Thursday. And the magazine had requested, Paul Harris was a big Lincoln fan, that all clubs in the Rotary clubs in the United States observe special programs stressing the principles of life and government for which the immortal emancipator fought and suffered. So I guess we're kind of timely in having the mayor speak this week, right? How about that? All right. A long 2-week freeze is over. Tomorrow I think it's going to hit 40, so enjoy your weekend.
What is Rotary?
What is Rotary is who?
Rick Harden.
Rick Harden, the legend. We are adjourned.